Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we're going to be doing another class in the series of classes on Sagittarius ascendant and Jupiter in the different signs. Tonight we'll be talking about Jupiter in Aquarius, which of course is an interesting combination. When you have Sagittarius ascendant, of course, like we've always said, one of the big ideas of Sagittarius is the person wants his opinions to be believed, wants his opinions to be important, wants to express his ideas, wants to communicate. So that's always the major goal of the Sagittarius, right? The Sagittarius is connected with the ninth house, religion, philosophy, higher education, law, etc. And so when you have that Sagittarius is going to be the urge to express one's ideas and to convince other people of his ideas that they're right. And tonight, so when you have Jupiter in the third house, that accentuates that, because the same axis, the third, ninth house are on the same axis. They're opposite each other. Sometimes the people say that the third house is like more the regular education, the high school education, and the ninth house is more the higher education, the college, or you can say that the third house is more the secular type of education. The ninth house is more religious, philosophical, more esoteric type of, not esoteric, but more impractical type of knowledge or something like that. But in any case, you have the third and ninth house aspects are going to be lit up. And so when you have that Sagittarius rising and Jupiter in the third house, especially Jupiter in Aquarius, which is a mental sign, right? So there's going to be, in all different areas, there's going to be a big need to communicate, to express one's ideas when you have that ruling planet in the third house. The third house rules communication, right? It's a Gemini ascendant. Gemini is the communicator of the zodiac more than any other sign. It's mercurial, and it makes a great person who's got the third house can be big in all these areas, all third house affairs, communications, computers, writing is also good there in the third house. To be a businessman, to be an intermediary, to be a negotiator, to be someone who can be like a referee even, but somebody who also can, like, settle disputes between different sides or bring different parties together to make a deal. All that stuff. Secretaries, you see tremendous amount of women that have the ruler of the first and the third to become secretaries. Right? It's a great place for secretaries, the third house. And people who work by answering machines. They're involved in, like telephone operators. I've seen a lot of women. You have 1 in 3 that work for telephone companies, answering services, all sorts of things like that. People who buy and sell using the telephone, using the computer, computer graphics, all sorts of things connected with the third house. Advertising is is again a third house affair. So all of these things are going to be there. The level that the person's, of course, it indicates the person who also is going to want a very good education, right? Because you have the natural ruler of Sagittarius rules the ninth house, so the person's always going to want a good education, especially when you have the ruler in the third. Always look at the accesses, the accesses. The third, ninth axis is an axis of is the axis of knowledge, right? Just like the second and eighth is the axis of money, of wealth. People got strong 2 and 8. They're going to make money. 3 and 9 is more the urge to communicate. They might get very rich. We'll see someone tonight who became very rich, but they're going to make that money through communications, which is what's important to them. And all different things. The 4th, 10th house is home and family and job access. The 5 and 11th is children and friends. Children access. So in any case of political access, we said, right? If you have everything in Leo and Aquarius, it's the political access, 5 and 11. But anyway, so now we see, so the person who's got this is going to have a strong also urge to learn, to be very smart. Okay, I want to look at a chart tonight that fulfills a lot of these things that I've been talking about. We're going to look at the chart of a very famous man. We're not going to go in depth in the chart. Like I said, we're more concerned in these series of classes how to spot the basic understanding of a chart just from a quick look at the chart. You know, to look at the chart and get an idea of who you're talking about. That's what we've been trying to do here, and especially by looking at the ruling planet and the ascendant, and the aspects made to the ruling planet and the ascendant. And so tonight we're going to look at a chart of a very famous man in America. His name was Ted Turner. Is Ted Turner? I think he's still alive. He's a guy who became very, very successful as an entrepreneur. His father actually was in advertising, and he took over the father's business and made it even bigger. Then he got into the communications industry and started the first 24-hour news programs or news channels, and he became a super wealthy billionaire. But in any case, but you see that right away. You look at his chart, you see the ascendant is Sagittarius, ruling planet in the 3rd. So it's all going to be that education, communication, right? He had a degree. He didn't have a degree. He got kicked out in his last year for having a girl in his room. That was in the 50s when that wasn't allowed. And so he got kicked out. But he had a good education. He went to military academy. He went to Brown University. But then he made a tremendous fortune in the communication business. And you see that not only is the ruler of the ascendant in the 3rd, but the natural ruler, in other words, the ruler of the 3rd house in Adam Rishon's chart is Mercury. And in this man's chart, Mercury is right on his ascendant. So again, it emphasizes strongly the 3rd house connection. When you have the Mercury there on the ascendant, it emphasizes the need for the strengthening of 3rd house affairs. The idea of makes a person very smart, very clever, a good businessman. Mercury can make a good businessman. And so that sticks out. You look at the chart right away, you see the importance of the 3rd house and the 9th house by just taking a quick look at the chart. And you don't think, it just doesn't look like a chart of somebody who's going to be a deep intellectual or something like that. You don't see it, but Mercury like his is that of a good businessman. He has Mercury in Sagittarius. It's interesting, he's got most of his planets in detriment, in fall. Right? So it makes him very shrewd, very willing to cut corners, willing to do things maybe not exactly like you should in order to get ahead. He's willing to do things not in the most acceptable manner. When you have a lot of planets in detriment, sometimes it helps you in life because you're willing to do things that maybe someone whose chart is more refined and sensitive and high quality would not do. Well, this man is willing to do most anything to get ahead, right? He's got actually 4. He's got his Mercury in detriment. He's got Venus in the 12th house in detriment. He's got Mars in detriment, and he's got Saturn in fall. So he's got pretty nothing in. Planets aren't in the highest quality, I would say, right? Taking a quick look at it. And we'll come back to that in a minute. But right now we're talking the Ikar, like I say, we're talking about the Jupiter as the ruling planet and the ascendant, and because Mercury is connected with the 3rd house naturally, we see also the importance of Mercury extenuating the 3rd and 9th house career opportunities, right? And he's got a pretty strong chart. He's got the Mercury on the ascendant. He's got Saturn and Mars in the 4th and the 10th. And also the moon. So he's got 4 planets connected with angles, 2 of them in the career chart angle. And you see the ruler of his midheaven is conjunct the sun. You see he's going to be famous, tendency towards fame. But in the chart it says that's the first thing you would see. The second thing I would look at that just sticks out like a sore thumb is you see he's got that bad Mars in fall in his 4th house, the home. You don't like, Saturn. He's got Saturn in the 4th house in fall in Aries, opposed by the Mars in detriment in the 10th house in Libra. So he's got this aspect of 2 malefics being one opposite the other in the homes of the mother and the father. Right? And so it already indicates he would stick out. If I was an astrologer, the first thing I would ask him is about the difficulties of his early childhood. Right? You see the Saturn there in the 4th. Must have had a very miserable childhood, the man. Right? And must have had a very, very difficult relationship with the father and the mother on both ends, right? And in truth, the father was a very wealthy man, very successful. But the father was manic depressive, right? A manic depressive is someone who has a lot of highs and a lot of lows. He's not no equilibrium. And the man himself, Mr. Turner, that we're doing his chart, he also had this same indicator. He also is what's called bipolar. Meaning a lot of ups and downs, and mostly downs, for what I can understand, because Saturn is the downer and Mars is the upper, and they're opposite each other, always fighting with each other. And you see it in the 4th and 10th as genetic disposition, right? When the planets in the 4th are connected with genealogy, right? By hereditary illnesses, hereditary conditions. And so you would right away see that the father eventually was bipolar. He beat the kid up when he was a youth. The father eventually shot himself, killed himself. So you see he had a very difficult upbringing. And in any case, I thank everybody for listening.